first moved to the USA, all the way from Canada. Drove across the continent from Nova Scotia to Pasadena. My sister and me and my mom and dad, from the cold to the sunny south. There were palm trees growing and it was not snowing, and I never did shut my mouth. Well, we drove on over to the courthouse in downtown Los Angeles. Put our hands on the Bible and we swore as a family that we were not communists. When we drove away, I started to cry. They said, "What's wrong, son? Are you sick?" I said, "I don't want to be an American. I want to be Catholic." We talked Hollywood, baseball in the car. Hey, the voice of Vin Scully, man, it would travel really far. You guys ever heard of Vin Scully? Yes, a couple people. He was the announcer for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He died some years ago, but his voice was reedy and tenor-esque. And when he called the baseball game on the radio and I'd be picking weeds with my dad, this is what Vin Scully's voice sounded like. "There's an eerie spiderweb shadow coming into right field at Chavez Ravine. Sandy Koufax walks out to the mound and he's up to his hips in alligators. 2-2 to Harvey Keene. Get your Dodger dogs." Dodger dog is a hot dog. Now this next verse talks about making my first communion in the Catholic Church. When you make your first communion, they tell you you're going to eat Jesus' body, and I wanted his leg. Well, I made my first communion in St. Rita's Catholic Church. There was incense choking and a priest was smoking. Was the choir up in the purge. My face got red and my stomach felt bad. They said, "If you're gonna get sick, use a cup." Well, I thought by the time it was my turn for communion, Jesus would be all eaten up. We talked Hollywood and baseball in the car. Hey, the voice of Jack Buck, man, it traveled really far. Jack Buck was the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals. His voice sounded like you got an auto mechanic and you flew him up from Canberra in the ACT all the way to St. Louis on the hottest day. And he brought a rusty razor blade and a dirty needle and he ripped out Jack Buck's vocal cords and dropped them in a glass of 151 rum and set them on fire and then sewed them back in with a veterinarian's rusty needle. So when Jack Buck called the game, his voice wasn't reedy and tenor-esque like Vin Scully. This is what Jack Buck sounded like. And the only reason I'm doing this is because this really almost is my final show of my tour. Other than the finale, where I only got to play 15 minutes so I can blow my voice out. Nobody ever gets to hear me imitate Jack Buck. Here it goes. After this, I'll be worthless.
Coming up in the bottom of the ninth inning here in St. Louis, Mark McGuire going after the home run record set by Roger Maris of 61 home runs in 1961. I don't believe what I just saw.
I cannot believe I pulled that off. This is good weed, man. Alright, everything in this next verse is true too. Well, my allergies are bad, so we moved to the desert to a city called Palm Springs. Trick-or-treated at Liberace's house. Each finger had a diamond ring. We met Elvis Presley in the middle of the summer, and Elvis hugged my sister for far too long. I felt kind of weird, but I would have picked her out just to hear him sing a song. So Elvis Presley was flying into Palm Springs. It was 1969. I was 9 years old. My sister was older than me, and she was really cute. And the guy who lived across the street from us said, "Steve, Elvis Presley's going to be flying in today on a private plane. You guys can meet him if you'd like." So he let us ride our bikes on the tarmac. It was obviously pre-9/11. And we rode our bikes on the tarmac at Palm Springs International Airport, and we heard the engines of the plane buzzing above us. We heard the squeak of the tires as the plane landed. Palm Springs is hot in the desert. It was, what do you guys call 120 degrees? 48 or something? It was close to 48 degrees. And Elvis Presley in 1969 got off of the plane, and he was wearing all black leather. It was comeback special Elvis. He had his hair in a perfect pompadour. And he looked at me and my sister, and we ran up to Elvis Presley, and he said, "Sounds like you kids been a running." And I said, "Yeah, I can catch you, Elvis." And he picked me up and he put me on his shoulders and he swung me round and round. He took off my little cowboy hat and he said, "You would look much better if you wore an upside down bucket with money." And I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" And Elvis goes, "Ask Quinn." So anyways, then he looked at my sister and he goes, "Your sister sure is pretty." And I said, "It's okay, Elvis, you can have her." I was thinking I could get a record deal. He just laughed and then he gave us his autograph on a piece of paper he just casually ripped out of a notebook he was holding. He waited for us to come to him. Rock star cool handbook rule number 1. Wait for fans to come to you and act like it's business as usual. He had it down pat and he smiled the most charismatic smile I'd ever seen. Well, finally he kept talking to us and one of his assistants came out and he goes, "Come on, boss, we gotta go." And Elvis Presley jumped in the back of a black limousine and he stuck his head out of the window as that limousine pulled away. We rode our bikes home high on the trail of success. Nothing could ruin our happy moods. Sure, the Vietnam War was looming over us and assassinations and drug overdoses were all over the papers, but all we knew was Elvis Presley was our best friend and we were fans for life. And when I got home that night, I pulled my trusty guitar out of the case and I practiced for hours and hours. And that was the night I learned how to play "I Can't Help Falling in Love with You" in blue suede shoes. Because you know what, people of the National Folk Festival, life is full of memory markers, and this is one I'll never forget. The day I met peaceful Zen Elvis and offered him my sister. Now here I am, a growing up boy, at home on the 4th of July, staring out at the ocean and the fireworks in the sky. I miss my friends who aren't around, the ones who passed anyway. I'm feeling kind of grateful here on Independence Day. We talk Hollywood and baseball in the car. Hey, the voice of Tom Cheek, man, it'll always travel really far. The reason I'm looking back here is because the guy that came out to help me is a huge Red Sox fan. But Tom Cheek was the voice of the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, I know to you guys that means nothing, but to him, he's really angry right now. He's mad that he just fixed my phone. But I gotta tell you, the Blue Jays of Toronto, Canada, were trying to repeat as World Series champions. And Joe Carter came up to bat. And this is what Tom Cheek said. This is cool, check this out. "Joe was having trouble trying to lay out that ball over the outside part of the plate, and he just went out.
Here's the pitch on the way, a swing and a belt. Left field, way back. Blue Jays win. Blue Jays win, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life. That's the announcement.
Guess what, you guys? You know how a lot of people said not to get the vaccine during COVID because it has a microchip from Bill Gates in it? It really does have a microchip from Bill Gates. And I'm able to call up that call and send it right now through the speakers due to the microchip I have in my head. Check this out.
Joe has moments. Trying to lay off that ball, go to the outside part of the plate, and he just went after one. 2 balls and 2 strikes on it. Here's the pitch on the way, a swing and a belt. Left field, way back. Blue Jays win. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
We talk Hollywood, baseball in the car. Hey, the voice of Elvis Presley, man, it'll always travel really far. I get allergies and asthma in the yard, and no one ever told me growing up would be so hard.